Hi, I wanted to share a short thought with you that the Lord has encouraged me with, and I pray can be an encouragement to His people. For the last several months, the Lord has been giving me a great joy in knowing Him. I have enjoyed more of Him in the last 3 months than I have in probably all of my life, in a long time. And I think we always are going through a growing process, but the joy I've had with Him these last 3 months has been tremendous. I love getting up in the morning and spending time reading. I love going on walks with God, long walks and just talking and praying with Him. It's like He's right there with me. And I've been enjoying what I think should be the true normal Christian life, yet most of my life I've lived the normal Christian life of just a routine. And I want to share with you the joy of knowing more of Him and desiring more of Him. For the last couple of years I've looked at the life of Moses. I relate to Moses in many ways. Moses doubted and feared, and I've been like that most of my life with things the Lord has asked of me. But more recently I looked again at Exodus chapter 32 and 33, where we see that Moses desires more of God. And so I want to share with you from Exodus 33 a few verses. Look at Exodus 33 verse 1. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, "Depart, go up from here, you and the people whom you have brought up from the land of Egypt, to the land of which I swore to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, to your descendants I will give it. I will send an angel before you, and I will drive out the Canaanite, the Amorite, the Hittite, the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite. Go up to a land flowing with milk and honey." Alright, stop for just a moment if you're reading. Go up to the land flowing with milk and honey. Now they've wanted this land. They've desired it. They've been heading that way to the promised land that God would give them. And here God says, you can have everything you want, Moses. You can have this land that is flowing with milk and honey. But look at the next part. I will not go up in your midst, because you are an obstinate people. I will not go up in your midst. Now think for a moment. If you were there with the children of Israel, would you be willing to go if God wasn't in your midst? Now you're going to have everything you wanted, the easy life, the good life. It even said that the people that were standing in the way would have been taken care of, so there would be no problems. But God would not be there in the midst of the people. Would you be willing to go? Moses wasn't. Look on in verses 15. It says, Moses said to God, "If your presence does not go with us, do not lead us up from here." Moses is praying to God in verses 12 through 19. And here he says to God, "God, if your presence is not with us, do not lead us from here." What did Moses want? Well, he wanted God. He wanted more of God in his life. He did not want to take a step forward if God was not in his presence. And I want you to ask yourself right now, are you willing to go if God isn't with you? Are you willing to move forward in your schooling or your job or whatever the Lord has before you if God is not in your presence? Are you willing to take on another venture, another program, another thing to do if God is not with you? Moses wasn't, and that's the heart that we should have. We should not be willing to go unless God is in our presence. What about just your daily life? Going to work each day, going to school each day. Do you go with God before you? Most of my life, I honestly can look back and see that God, I have not desired Him and His presence to go before me. And the reason I say that is, sadly, many days were filled, or many days began, without seeking God, without saying, "Here I am, go before me." And if I'm not doing that, then I'm not desiring God. I am not truly asking or desiring that He would go before me if I am not asking Him to go before me. The last several months, every day has been filled with a few prayers. First, God, show me more of yourself. I want more of you. Father, fill me with your Spirit today that I may glorify you. Father, do not allow me to grieve your Spirit. Show me, give me an eye for the lost, that I may see them as you see them. And give me an eye for the children of God, that I may see them as you see them. You see, I am praying, Lord, I want you. I want you to go before me today. Well, anyways, this is what Moses desired. He wanted the presence of God. Now, just a little bit before this, in verses 7 through 11, it talks about how the tent was outside the camp, and it talks about how Moses would go to the tent. And I want us just to have a short picture here of something. In verse 8 it says, "It came about whenever Moses went out to the tent that all the people would arise and stand each at the entrance of his tent and gaze after Moses until he entered the tent. Whenever Moses entered the tent, the pillar of cloud would descend and stand at the entrance of the tent, and the Lord would speak with Moses." Verse 10, "When all the people saw the pillar of cloud standing at the entrance of the tent, all the people would arise and worship, each at the entrance of his own tent." Now I just again want to ask you one more question. Where are you right now? Are you like Moses, who is in the presence of God, or are you like the other people who are standing at the entrance of their tent? You see, right now you can have more of God, but are you seeking more of Him? Are you desiring more of God? Or has the world so corrupted you and so drawn you in that more of God doesn't fit in your schedule? It doesn't fit in your life. If you're not desiring more of God, then you're not like Moses saying, "I don't want to go if your presence doesn't go with us." You're content where you are. And what a shame that is if that's the case. If you're content where you're at in your life and knowing God, I pray that you get beyond that. Because there's so much more of God to know, so much of a deeper, intimate relationship with Him, so much more joy in knowing Him. You may be asking yourself, well, yeah, I do desire more of God, and I've been seeking more of God, but I don't feel like I'm having more of God. Well, I want to look at Matthew chapter 7 for a moment and just read a few verses to you. Matthew chapter 7, verse 7, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek, and you will find. Knock, and it will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, and he who seeks finds, and to him who knocks it will be opened. Or what man is there among you who, when his son asks for a loaf, will give him a stone? Or if he asks for a fish, he will not give him a snake, will he? If you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give what is good to those who ask Him?" If you don't feel like you have more of God in your life, or you're not growing in your relationship with Him, ask yourself this question. Have you been asking Him for more of Him? Have you been asking to know Him more? What did Moses do? Look again in Exodus chapter 33. He says, "Show me your glory." He asks of God, "I want to know more of you." Now stop for a minute and think about the life of Moses. He has lived a life where he has seen God do amazing, amazing things. He took by God's power and him and being used, Moses being used, he saw a group of Israelites taken from a powerful man and set free. He saw God do a miracle after miracle. He has seen amazing things that God has done. And yet here he is in Exodus chapter 33 saying, "I want more of you, and I want to know you deeper. Show me your glory, God." He doesn't want to go forward without God's presence, and he wants more of God. So ask yourself right now, do you desire more of God? And are you willing to move forward if He's not with you? Oh, I pray that you desire more of God. And I pray that you don't want to take one step forward without Him. Perhaps, and I would encourage us, the thing to do is to turn this video off right now. Get on your knees and say, "Father, I want more of you. Your word says, ask and I will give. Lord, I want more of you." Now, what I would like to do is, in the future, share a few other videos about some other things that the Lord's been teaching me in regards to knowing more of Him and seeking more of Him. And right now I'm just going to stop with this, though, and simply leave these questions before you. Do you desire more of Him? And do you desire to go forward if He's not with you? May the Lord lead us on, as He loves us dearly, and He desires that we have a deep relationship with Him. He has so much that He wants to show us, if only we are willing.